So our project is about developing methodologies to incorporate domain expertise in developing data sets for generative AI systems. And we actually have been conducting a set of foundational studies. The first one is the interview study with AI practitioner. It was published at CAI. And then we conduct a lit review that Ozzie led to examine the intersection between generative and youth online safety. And the reason for us to do this study is because based on our first study with AI practitioners, we found that people are not incorporating experts when they develop data sets, and that's critical. So then we focus just on youth online safety because that's precisely the expertise that Karla and Ozzie bring to the team. And those two studies have been the foundation to identify gaps in how we go about data sets. And now we are in the process of designing studies to operationalize how to include experts at scale. So hopefully this will benefit not only, a single industry, but actually it's going to have a more expansive impact. I think one of the insights from our research that is valuable for other domains is to recognize that the development and evaluation of generative AI technologies are having an impact on how practitioners work with data. And the reason for this is that although data has been critical for technologies like always, now there is a growing demand for specialized data sets and for even larger data sets. And as a result of this change, practitioners are changing how they work with data. One of the most important or impactful changes is that practitioners now are increasingly adopting large language models to automate how they work with data. This includes, data generation, evaluation, and labeling. And definitely adopting LLMs is helpful to address some of the challenges that they face. But actually integrating LLMs into the data pipeline can also create another set of issues. Some of the most relevant are that we might overlook gaps and bias of LLMs, and actually using large language models, for example, to generate synthetic data requires thorough documentation to ensure transparency and accountability. First, to recognize that as we develop and adopt generative AI technologies, we are seeing emerging practices, and we are in the process of standardizing those practices. So for that reason, I will say that sometimes there is uncertainty in determining the best approach to develop and evaluate these technologies. But at the same time, it is precisely because we are at this stage of figuring things out that there are numerous opportunities to innovate, that we see an opportunity for human interaction researchers to support AI practitioners by developing tools and methods in the process of integrating domain expertise into LLM development and assessment. I think it's crucial to recognize that data decisions have cascading effects. How we work with data is going to have a downstream impact, and therefore it shouldn't be overlooked or dismissed.
My research focuses on understanding the design and impact of technology on underserved populations. And this research is important is because there's a lot of misunderstandings or sort of assumptions or misinterpretations of online risks of youth in the AI domain. I think a lot of individuals believe that online risks are experienced the same across teens, or that they're impacted in the same ways. So like our policies and technologies resemble this issue of it's all monolithic, and they don't really take into consideration the contextual factors that might impact a youth's experience. And so Adriana, Ozzie, and I are trying to address that by understanding deeply, like, how do practitioners define or think about risks? How do online safety experts define and interpret risks? And then also the youth themselves, how do they define and interpret these risks? And how do we triangulate that so that we can create taxonomies that are more aligned with the lived experiences of youth? I think there's also another part of AI being the solution. So just like parental controls right now are seen as like the ultimate solution to youth online safety, I think part of our research is also saying, it's not the only solution, and that when we integrate AI into technology, or we integrate it into organizations or into people's lives, we also have to think about the broader system, right? How it's impacting society and the context in which we're using it. And how can we build multi-stakeholder approaches to designing these systems, since they are going to be used by different people. Increasing visibility of this research can also help in addressing some of these misunderstandings. Like, one of the moving factors in this field, like, large language models need a lot of data. And so if we can align that data to lived experiences, then we can hope that will help make these models address certain situations in a more effective manner. I think everyone needs to know and understand the findings of our research. It's not just for AI practitioners. It's not just for online safety experts. I think it's for everyone, because that's the whole reason why we are trying to take a multi-stakeholder perspective in talking with different stakeholders and different people, like the people that are making the technologies, designing them, evaluating them, but then the people that are also impacted by this technology, integrating this technology, and even non-users, right? Because those individuals are also impacted just by how the world changes in integrating these systems into different contexts.
And the case of what excites me most about the project and the collaboration is the opportunity to gain deeper understanding on how safety and governance being operationalized, especially AI systems, and like more recently LLM-powered and generative AI systems. We see these days that these tools and systems have been integrated in platforms that young users use, ranging from social media platforms, educational systems, and you see generative AIs being used as companions and bodies to young users. As a researcher in the field of youth online safety, I see this opportunity critical because it helps us examine whether the right stakeholders are being engaged in the design and development of these generative AI systems, whether these systems are being designed with young users' developmental needs and lived experiences in mind. Because from prior literatures and our previous work on more traditional technologies without AI, some of the gaps that we surfaced is that oftentimes people assume that they know the experiences of youth without even consulting them or consulting people who are closer to them, and that could in turn lead you to design systems that don't have the right safeguards to keep them safe. Engaging multi-stakeholders in the design of these systems, I feel like it's going to help us surface perspectives that are often overlooked, especially in the sense of AI, because it's assumed that AI technologies could be designed by AI practitioners. And as such, most times we see that often technical values and principles are being used or to guide the development of this system without considering the social technical side to the conversation. When you include domain experts, caregivers, parents, and even youth themselves in the design and development of this technology, you start to see several assumptions about the type of risk the youth face, the types of safety interventions that suit certain scenarios, and also you begin to understand the usability of AI systems by young users and try to see how you can tailor it to their real world experiences. So overall, this collaboration has helped me realize that to design ethically sound AI and LLM powered systems, we need more collaborative effort so that we can ground the experiences of marginalized, vulnerable youth end users in the design and the development of the systems. As a HCI researcher, this project has helped me think more interdisciplinary and think more critically about the principles of power and participation in the development of AI. Who's included in shaping these systems? whose voices are missing in the development of the system? Who gets to define what safety and risk actually mean in the design and development of AI system? I've gained some understanding on some assumptions embedded in the practices of red teaming processes, risk assessment, and even the construction of taxonomies used to evaluate generative AI and LLM systems. From a current study that we did, we surfaced that most AI practitioners or most AI researchers use generic available taxonomies because there is no domain specific taxonomies, or there's no taxonomies tailored to specific context that could be used to evaluate AI systems. And that could lead to some misconceptions in terms of like the context in which AI systems or LLM powered systems have been deployed. Collaborating with Adriana has really helped me a lot, because one other thing I got to understand is to see how academia and industry can relate together. It's helped me see how industry teams approach problems. Like, I see how Adriana brainstormed through issues. It also helped me understand what constraints and priorities industry companies have and how research can actually inform and fit into their context. This whole experience has reinforced for me like the challenges that we are addressing, including AI harms, youth online safety, equitable access to generative AI technologies, are not purely technical problems, because you see, like most times, it's been looked at from a technical standpoint on reliability, accuracy. They are deeply social, and in many sense, they are cultural. And it's not a one size fits all. It's not a one discipline type of area. It requires the collaboration and just overall engagement of multi-stakeholders to be able to participate and tackle these issues.